is up, everybody? Jim Cyril, Tanya Klein, and Jerry Klein here from Coverage Inc., the leader in screenplay analysis, development, and editing services for over 20 years. And I'm so happy to be here with the Klein sisters.
No relation, by the way.
Oh man.
How are you doing today, Jerry?
Good. How are you guys?
Hey, great. So Jerry, I understand you have some questions you wanted to throw at us, right?
Yes, viewer questions.
All
You
right.
guys ready?
So this is going to be part one. We're going to
Yeah.
do this in two parts because this is probably going to take a while.
Mhm.
So, yeah, lay it on us. What have you got, Jerry?
Question 1. Vince asks, "Hi CI, my script is 138 pages, but your system won't accept it. Why
Ah.
not? Can I just pay extra to get you to read it?"
No. In short, no.
Answer?
Jim, do you want to take this because you're more diplomatic than I am usually?
I'm more- okay. Hey, what's his name? Vince?
Yes, Vince.
Okay. So Vince, here's the deal. Our policy has always been from jump, we don't take scripts over 130 pages. The reason for that is we hope that it forces the writer to go back and edit it down to a length that people will actually want to take a look at. Look, in the old days of Hollywood, you could have a script that was, 140 pages, 150 pages. I mean, people would still read it because specs, were selling. But nowadays, it's like, 100 pages, 110 pages is much closer to the mark. Like if you got a 120-page script, that's considered long, whereas back in the day, that was perfectly fine. So we're trying to basically help people to understand that they're not in the zone and do what you need to do to get it into the zone before you come to us.
When did that switch from, because when I went to school, it was 120. And
Yeah.
then obviously by the time I started with you guys, it was 110. Do we know?
I think, I don't think there was ever a specific time,
Okay.
but I think over time, people just develop ADD, short
Sure.
attention span, there's just, people, it's like, look, back in the 70s, you could make movies that were 2.5 hours. And if you're an auteur filmmaker, Christopher Nolan or somebody like that, you still can, but with a spec script, people are just not really interested. If they see you're running long, they just don't feel that you're ready for the game yet.
Yeah,
Can't
so
tell you
let me
exactly
quickly-
when.
Let me
What's
quickly
that?
boil that down to marketability. So here's the thing. If you're not an auteur, if you're not already in the game, if you're still trying to break in, you won't, even with a 120-page script, unless it has such an exceptional premise, such an exceptional hook, such a marketable story that, it blows everyone's mind. However, here's the thing. The readers get the script. First of all, you have to get it past the gatekeepers, being the readers. And readers have 30 scripts a day they're reading. And okay, they get in a script and it's 125 pages. Will they look forward to reading it? Nah. Will they give it
Yeah.
the same chance as the script that has, 100 pages? No, they won't. So that's your
Right.
first step. Your second step is also the people that you're hoping to entice. In other words, managers, they need things that they can sell right now. So if something is 130 pages, they know that the person has not learned to edit themselves yet. In other words, they're just starting their journey as a writer. They don't have time anymore to develop the script with you and develop your talent for the next 2 years. They need things that they can sell right now. And let me
Yeah.
also add that depending on what genre you're writing, if you're closer to 110 pages, if it's sci-fi, yeah, that's okay. If it's horror, well, get it down to 100 or even less
Yeah.
if you can.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good.
Yeah, I think that settles it. And look, we're not trying to discourage anybody. There are resources out there, watch some videos, read some books. There's plenty of great structural templates. There's no reason for a feature spec script to run 138 pages if you're following a good structural template. So just avail yourselves of those resources. Our own style guide that you can find on the Coverage Inc. website for $4.95. Plenty of tips on how to edit yourself. I've never in my life seen a script that was 140 pages that couldn't live just as well as 120 pages.
That's a good point.
So that's why.
Okay.
What else you got?
Second question. In your video on name titles, you guys are like, no, but I see stuff with name titles all the time. No one seems to have a problem with them except you. And that's from DQR.
Okay,
Except
so
you.
that comes back to two sets of rules. If you're in the club and you're getting hired to write something, or your manager sends out something, or you were one of those auteurs that people want to work in, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if your script is good or bad. It doesn't matter what the title is. However, again, as a struggling writer trying to make a name for yourself, a title is, again, it's
a marketing tool.
It's a marketing tool.
Exactly.
So you want people, basically people need to want to watch the movie or, read the script, first of all, based on the title. The title needs to give them an idea of theme, of tone, of genre, and it needs to, entice them to want to read it.
So, look, Ella
I was going to
McKay.
ask about that.
Ella McKay. Okay, so if you don't know what that is, and many people do not, that was a Disney movie directed by James L. Brooks, starring Emma Mackey. That just came out this weekend. Totally bombed. Like, according to Doomcock, like the biggest bomb, one of the biggest bombs in Disney history. Okay, name title. So, what is a name title? First of all, we should clarify what that is. Name title is just a title of a movie that is the character's name, like Joe or Ella McKay or something like that. What's wrong with it? It doesn't tell you what the movie is. We have no idea what we're getting, right? So you look at a movie called Ella McKay. First of all, it's pretty confusing because the actress's name is Emma Mackey. They're pretty close to begin with. So it's like, wait, what is this movie? Does it say anything about it being a political dramedy directed by
That's what it is?
Yeah, exactly.
I saw the trailer and had no idea what it was.
Okay, well, that's a trailer fault then.
Yeah.
But James L. Brooks, a legendary director returning for the first time after 15 years. Look, it's a marketing fail, but again, this comes down to the title. Did George Lucas call Star Wars Luke Skywalker? No. He called it Star Wars because that tells you what the movie. Come on, look. You call your movie whatever you like, call your script whatever you like. That's perfectly fine. This is just our advice from years in the trenches. You want a manager, an agent, a producer to look at the script and get an idea what it is so they can start formulating it in their heads how to shop it. If you don't do that, you're taking a card that you could potentially play off the table that could potentially help you.
Have you guys ever had, like in Get Rep Now or with other clients, where there was a really great script, but the title was like a name title and that deterred people, like managers?
Yeah. But usually, you make a compelling argument to people and maybe pitch them some ideas to kind of get them thinking in another direction. Usually they'll come around.
Yeah, we've had that conversation with several writers, especially during the Get Rep Now period, before we're going out with the scripts to the managers. It's like, okay, guys, you want to maximize your chances here. And they do. We all want to maximize our chances, or should want to maximize our chances in this business.
Yeah, just this year. In fact, we had one where we suggested a title change, explained our reasoning, and the writer was like, oh yeah, good idea. And he changed that title, and he wound up getting represented. So there you go.
If only they would have done that with Ella McKay.
Ella McKay. Oh,
can you say it?
God. What else you got for us, Jerry?
Number 3, Spyro or Spiro 99 wants to know. I have an idea for a series, but I'm not sure if I should write it as a half hour or an hour. Which one is better?
Well, when it comes again to your chance, okay, so first of all,
Question.
TV in general is very difficult nowadays because
Yeah.
just in the last, few years, TV writers have lost over 40% of jobs in this market.
Yeah.
So it's been really, really, really bad to be a TV writer. So my first advice is can your idea also serve as a feature? If it can, do that. Other than that, if you have to choose between half hour and hour long, go with the hour long because half hours are the absolute toughest, 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 toughest to break in with.
Yeah, and there's a couple different reasons for that, but look, I would start by Spiro, whatever.
Spyro or Spiro, yeah. Sorry,
Yeah,
whoever it is.
I would say, what your material is, what your story is, should dictate the format, or at least kind of point to it in a vague way. Like most half hours are still kind of comedic. Now, we do have some half hour, dramas, and there's been plenty of half hour dramedies. But I mean, they're few and far between, the bear and stuff like that. That's fine. But generally speaking, like half hours are the realm of the comedy, and hour longs are the realm of the drama. And there's various things in between that. But like Tanya said, half hours are really tough. They're much tougher than 1 hours. So depending on what your material is, that'll tell you what to lean into. But if it could go either way, like if it's a dramedy that's more heavily leans toward comedy, well, consider possibly like what the hour-long version that's more heavily leaning towards drama might look at, because it's, half hours are just such a closed off little pool. Like it's, the people who create in that space, who get to create shows, they tend to be, proven creators with a track record, whereas the industry is more open to reading specs from emerging writers that are hour longs.
Oh. Does that hold true if you want to do streaming versus
Yeah,
network? Okay.
it's the same.
Okay. And
It's the
there's no
same.
other like 45-minute. I don't really know. I do more film, so I don't know.
Oh, well, that's actually a good question. Look, okay, so that's another thing. In this day and age, a half hour isn't really a half hour, and an hour isn't really an
Right.
hour. We've seen hours, so-called hour longs that are 41 minutes, plenty of those. And sometimes, depending on the creator, it can be a 77-minute episode of an hour long show. On the streaming side, you're
Right.
not going to really get that on the
Yeah, you can't
broadcast
do it
side.
on network simply because they have a very, very set schedule on network,
Yeah,
and they also have to account, of course, for their commercial breaks.
right.
But in general, Spiro, if you're interested in TV writing, and if you have access in any way, shape, or form to working writers that can possibly get you into a writer's room as an assistant, that would
Mhm.
be the way to go. Because still, becoming a working TV writer is extremely, extremely difficult. And there is still the path that most people take. You go and you become an assistant. You take notes, you bring
Yeah.
coffee, and eventually, at some point, somebody hopefully will tell you, okay, you want to co-write the story with me, and you might become a baby writer, a staff writer, and might work your way up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that is also something to consider.
Cool.
Yeah, and if you're just coming in, like, if you don't want to do that, and you just want to write specs and send them out and query people, your best shot is going to be with an hour long. That's another thing. There's more currency. An hour long pilot script is worth more. It has more currency in Hollywood than a half hour. Half hours can get read, sure, but there's just a sense within the industry that an hour long is a good sample. It's enough time for you to demonstrate that you know how to tell a story. They're just worth more. So we would definitely say if you could go either way, go for the 1 hour. And yeah, if you have any connections or any way to get in on the ground floor making coffee, yeah, do that.
Everyone loves caffeine. Okay. The next one. Marcia R. from Glendale asks, my script has been a quarterfinalist and a semifinalist in several contests, and I still can't get agents or managers to read it. I've sent out query letters and I've done video pitches for money, and all I hear is not what we're looking for or nothing at all.
Yeah, okay. So first of all, we understand how frustrating it is.
In there.
And first of all,
Yeah.
everybody feels that frustration. Everyone can relate to that frustration. So here's the thing. When it comes to placing in contests, there are only very few contests that the industry pays attention to.
Yeah.
Nickel, for example, slam dance. So here's the thing. You as a writer are kind of supposed to know what those are. What are the industry approved contests? And if you place in those, that actually means something. However, if you write a cover letter and you give them a whole list of contests you placed in, and those are contests they've never heard of, the Midwest Out to Nowhere Film Festival, whatever, they're going to go, oh, this person doesn't know. So this person is a newbie. This person doesn't know the industry, so we're not even going to pay attention. So in other words, if you write a cover letter and you give them a whole list of contests they've never heard of, it can actually backfire on you. So coming to pitches. I mean, it's great that you're trying to get your work out there, and it is very important, and we encourage you to do that. So there are a couple of things that you have to consider. A, is your script where it needs to be? So do you have, I mean, is it as polished as it can be? You always want to put your best foot forward. Two, what is it? Is it in a marketable genre? I mean, again, if you're trying to pitch a period drama, oh my God, you are in for a world of hurt. And I'm not trying to discourage you or shit on your work or anything. I'm just letting you know you're in for a world of hurt. Because again, people are looking for marketable things. What are those marketable things? Horrors, thrillers, actions. Action films are newly marketable again. They weren't for a very long time. Rom-coms are marketable again. They weren't for a very long time. So basically, yeah, so how marketable is it definitely is part of the equation. How you pitch, how you present yourself. Also, is the person you're pitching to actually looking for material, or is this just some side gig that they're using to make some money with? So those are all things you have to keep in mind.
Yeah, look, what was her name again? Marcia?
Marcia.
So look, Marcia, I hate to say it, but what you are trying to do is hard. It's hard, okay? It is entirely possible that you could spend 10 or 20 or even 30 years trying to break in. And every single time, you throw the shit against the wall and you hope it's going to stick, right? You got to understand that there's literally tens of thousands of other people who are trying to do the exact same thing as you at the exact same time for a very limited amount of slots. And it could just be that your number has not come up. But like Tanya is saying, is your script where it needs to be? That is a factor that you can control. And you said in your message, in your mail, you've placed, I think she said quarterfinals
and semifinals, but you didn't say several contests. You didn't say which ones.
Right. So we don't know the contest, and so I didn't hear like any finals or top tens in there. And we've spoken to a lot of agents and managers over the years. We do that all the time. And what we've heard over and over is, why should I read a quarterfinalist or a semifinalist? All that tells me is this person isn't there yet. Whereas I could read the people in the top 10 that are more worth my time. So while that is validation, that means that somebody liked your material enough to advance it to the next level. It plateaued at a certain point. So again, depends on what those contests are. And it depends on the reader, and people's tastes and time of day and their mood and whether they're paying attention. There's a million factors. But at the end of the day, what you can control is the quality of your work. And oftentimes that means, hey, maybe I need another round of notes. Maybe I need another draft. You know, semifinals, that's great. I'm on the right path, but is it in the end zone yet? You know, maybe you're out there trying to shop your script or your scripts too soon. Maybe like Tanya said, the material isn't something that the industry is going to spark to. We don't know just based on your mail. This is just what we can give you right now to work with. But don't give up. Just understand this is hard and this is part of the process and it's what you signed up for.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And would you
absolutely.
recommend that if Marcia, would she just leave out quarterfinals and semifinals if the script was great and she just didn't place?
Well, here's the thing again. If you're in the semifinals in the nickel, absolutely talk
Okay.
about that.
Yeah.
Absolutely put that in your cover letter.
Yeah, that's a value.
Yeah,
That's a value.
but here's also the thing, just because otherwise we're going to get messages about that as well. It's like, but how do I know that that those readers even know what they're doing? You don't.
You don't.
No, those people reading it couldn't know. It's possible
Yeah.
that they don't know the difference between shit and shinola. That
Yeah.
happens. You have no control over
I
that.
know.
There are some contests out there that, you know, we know care about who reads people's material. Page, for example, very stringent with who they will allow to read. You must have an industry background and development experience to read for Page. God bless Page. Others, not so much. So there you go. Look, just don't give up, Marcia. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep honing your craft. Keep throwing the shit against the wall. Something will stick eventually.
And that is the end of part 1.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, there you go. Well, so that's part 1, folks. So we're going to be back with part 2 in another video. So keep it tuned right here. The Klein sisters, thank you very much.
Still no relation.
And Tanya, if they have any questions, what do they do?
You can find us at info@coverageinc.com.
Beautiful. All right, everybody. We'll be back for part 2 soon. See you soon. Bye-bye.